I think it's something I came up with. Like, a lot of people say in order to move forward, you need to know that you cannot go back, like you don't have a plan B. I don't quite agree, because for me, it was quite opposite. Like, for me, in order to go forward, what gave me strength to go forward is knowing always that I have a really good back. I always can go back. If I fail here.
So tell us, how are you finding it as a relatively new mummy, young child, another child on the way? How are you managing to balance it?
It's difficult. It's really difficult. I can't say it's easy, even with one child. I mean, because I think you always have this guilt.
I'm Farah Shamas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Hi everyone. Today I have with us Lusine Mirzoyan. I love pronouncing Armenian names and I always get it wrong, but I think we've been practicing. So Lusine is a dear friend. We've known each other for a few years now, worked together on a few projects. You're also a member of my club and really a great inspiration here in the business world in Cyprus. She's the director of Vestnik Kipra, and I'm going to let her tell us all about what she does, how an Armenian girl ended up living in Limassol, Cyprus, and doing so much for all the communities, but especially the Russian community. So it's quite an interesting story. So welcome, Lusine.
Thank you, Farah, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of your podcast. So how an Armenian girl end up in Cyprus, it's a really long story. So I'll just basically give you, yes. So I was born in Armenia, in a place called Artsakh, or Nagorno-Karabakh, that is probably most known to the world as Nagorno-Karabakh. Unfortunately now it's not Armenian anymore. So 1 year ago, Armenian population was forced out from there. So today my family lives in Yerevan, in the capital of Armenia. I was in Artsakh up to 21 years old. So I grew up there, I was raised there, and I was just, I always knew that I want to go abroad to study, basically, because Artsakh is a really small place. I always compare it with Cyprus, but without sea. It was a small community, and growing up there, I kind of knew what will be your path. Like, if nothing extraordinary happens, you grew up, you go to school, you go to university, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and basically you know your life. So I was always thinking, okay, what else is there? Maybe I want to actually explore my potential. So I always had it in mind to go to Cyprus, to abroad, and I ended up in Cyprus. That's a really long story. I mean, it was probably the most scariest thing I ever did, but also the best thing.
But how did you decide Cyprus? I mean, from all the places, like what was there?
Actually, I wasn't going to abroad so much. So I was always like mom is daddy's girl. I was always homey, and we actually went to abroad a couple of times. I was dancing back then in a dance group. It was Armenian folk dance ensemble. So we visited France, we visited Greece, and I think that's when I really liked Greece. It was in 2006, so before crisis and all that. So I really liked Greece, and I was like, okay, this is a country I probably would come to study and live, because for me it was important not just to go for studies, but also the country that I would be comfortable in. So I was planning to come to Greece, but then my friend told me, look, without any Greek, it will be really difficult. So why don't you try Cyprus? Because she was studying here in a school called Melkonian in Nicosia. It's closed down. And I said, okay. So I started researching. I found the university. It was Intercollege back then, now University of Nicosia. But then I came to my parents like, okay, look, I've decided. I already had first education in Armenia. I studied management. So I was thinking, okay, the second education I will get in Cyprus. But the question was how? I mean, it was a private university. We had to pay. And we sat down with the family and they said, look, we're not going to stop you because we don't want you to blame us if something goes wrong in your life. We don't want to hear one day you say, if you let me go to Cyprus, So go. What we can do is to help you as much as we can. And they actually, like I like to say, they bet our house on me. So we put our house on mortgage, our flat, basically the only flat. So we live in there. And it was enough money for covering the first semester. And I think the accommodation for like 6 months. And this is how I came to Cyprus.
That's so moving. Imagine how much your parents supported you.
Yes, but it was also a big responsibility for me because I knew they technically, bet our house on me. So
what did you do? Because that was only 6 months worth. So.
Yes, I came to Cyprus. I still remember because I had to go to Moscow for the interview because we didn't have an embassy in Armenia. So I had an appointment with the Cypriot consul, I think. And I remember that everything went wrong. I mean, I went to Moscow. I said goodbye to everyone in Armenia. I went to Moscow. I had cousins there, so I was supposed to stay with them like 3-4 days until I get the visa from the consulate, I believe. And then I went, and then the consul was checking my document, and apparently all my stamps were wrong because it was like a political issue. So Artsakh is all my documents were like stamped in Artsakh government, which they were not supposed to. They were supposed to be stamped in Armenia, something like that. So he said, he looked at me and he said, I know the story, I know the whole situation, but girl, all your documents are wrong. Only one document was right, and that was totally useless. I think it was my diploma. It was like translation of my first diploma. And he said, look, you know what? I'll just give you a visa because I know the situation. He called, he talked Greek that time. I didn't understand anything, but I believe he called to Intercollege just to confirm that I'm a student here. And he gave me a visa right there because usually it had to take like 3-4 days. And he said, because if I don't do it now, it will be rejected 100%. So, and then I went out. I'm like, okay, I get a visa, so we're going. So I think it was like really meant to happen. So I came to Cyprus.
How nice and how kind.
Yes, it's really like when I go back, I think it was meant to be. So I came. I was living in a hostel. I went to university. It was tough because I came full of myself. I was thinking, I already have 1 degree. I know languages. I will find a job.
And was it a 1-year degree? Was it a master's?
No, actually, I came to study hotel management, by the way.
Oh, you see the hotel connection.
Yes, but then when I had my exam, actually, I was advised to take an MBA. Because basically the woman there said, why would you do another degree? It's 4 years. So since I went to MBA, I had to work and study, but I couldn't find a job in Cyprus because of the visas issue. And I had no idea. I didn't research that actually because I was sure I could find a job easily, but
I think you're allowed to work, but only certain hours.
Certain sectors and certain hours. So it should be either in agro sector, on the fields, or even in the restaurant. You couldn't be a waitress. I don't know if something changed now, but back then you could work only in the kitchen. But I was trying to find a job, like, because in MBA I was one of the youngest ones. Everybody was coming after work or to get an experience. That's the whole point of MBA. And I was doing part-time jobs because I had to pay for the education. And also at the same time, I had to say that everything's all right when my mom calling and asking, how are you doing? Because I knew that there's nothing else I can do. So what's the point to tell them that, it's not good? But I was managing. So basically,
and that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of psychological and emotional pressure for young persons.
But
I mean, how old were you at the time?
21.
Yeah, I mean, super young.
21. But I think that what helped me to build a character, I really believe, because without these difficulties, I wouldn't be a person I am, really. And I'm grateful to everything that happened. And I think also the people I was meeting on the way, they were all really nice people, and at the right time. There was time that I was almost without accommodation because we couldn't find a solution with the union that, okay, 6 months were paid. After that, I couldn't find a job. So I have to find accommodation. And we were like negotiating to let me stay in the hostel for 1 more month so I can find another apartment for rent. And while it was under question, I was thinking, okay, there is an opportunity. I would be, homeless. But then my friend who was staying in one room said, no, don't worry. Even if it comes to that, you will stay with me until we find something. So it kind of gives you strength to move forward. I managed to finish MBA. I found a job. Firstly, I was working in a law office, actually. They took me for a corporate sector because of my knowledge of Russian that time. I never imagined that my Russian, I might need it in Cyprus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
useful. So you arrived here speaking Armenian, Russian and English.
Yeah. I learned Greek here in Cyprus. So I was working in the law office for a long time. For 5-6 years in Nicosia. I was living in Nicosia at that time. And then at one point I started cooperating with Vestnik Kipra on several projects. Finally, I moved to Limassol, I think almost 3 years ago. And after that, I kind of joined full-time, basically.
So that's how, yes. So then, and you obviously, I mean, your progression in Vestnik Kipra, because that's when I met you, was very fast. And Natalia, who's very well respected and has had her own episode here on Hotel Talk, which was a lovely episode, speaking about her personal journey. She's very well known in the business world, well respected. She's very professional. And she obviously saw something in you because quite quickly you became a director in Vestnik Kipra. So tell us about that.
Only Natalia knows the real story. I am grateful to her, really, because Vestnik Kipra is really a place where it's really interesting to work. Like you're looking forward to go to work. From my previous work in the law office, I loved people there. I liked the team there. Everything was okay, but at one point I just couldn't go to work anymore. It was like I would wake up in the morning. I'm like, what am I doing? I cannot go to work anymore. So
it wasn't inspiring you.
Yes, I came to my boss and I said, look, I'll give you 6 months notice. My husband is joking until now. Who gives 6 months notice? I give 6 months notice because I really respected those people, but I just couldn't do it. And I studied MBA with a specialization in marketing. So I wanted to get back to that because slowly my all knowledge I gained, it was because you're not using it, you're not
and
applying
the creative side of you, you've got that creative side.
And with Natalia, she's really inspiring. I mean, the amount of projects Vestnik Kipra does.
Tell everybody who doesn't know, because not everybody knows Vestnik Kipra. Give a short summary of Vestnik Kipra, what it does, what it's done, and what it's doing.
Yeah. Vestnik Kipra is basically today is a group of companies that is involved in media publishing and events organizing and business consulting and networking. Mostly people know Vestnik Kipra as the first Cypriot newspaper in Russian language. It was established in 1995. Today, we publish Vestnik Kipra newspaper where we publish basically all news, general news about Cyprus, but in Russian language for the community. We have a business magazine called Successful Business, which is business publication, and I believe it's the only business analytics magazine in Russian language. And we are also organizing a number of events for expat community and Russian-speaking communities, B2C, B2B. Among them is Health and Beauty Forum.
Yes, which I was a speaker at last time.
Speaker every year. We have Galaxy of Talents coming up. It's a children festival, children concert. It's going to be in Nicosia. 15 years we are celebrating this year. We're having legal conference on 10th of October very soon. Investment conference is also one of them, and then also a variety of small events for the community as well.
It's amazing. Yes, never stops. So I know that Natalia was changing a little bit the road, let's say, for Vestnik Kipra. From lots of the big events, she was going to concentrate on some others. How are the developments going, and where do you see your role in the company moving forward?
Basically, Natalia started changing it because things changed after COVID. Before COVID, Vestnik used to organize 30 events per year, which is
insane. Yeah.
After COVID, I mean, during COVID, from 30 to go to 0.
Yeah.
And it was really, really tough times. And I admire Natalia, how she actually managed to float. I wasn't that time in Vestnik, but I mean, it's survival.
It's crazy. It's
no advertising,
it's
no events.
not even, it's more than one every 2 weeks.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
yeah.
imagine. And that's the main income for the company, because you don't really get income from publishing nowadays. So after that, we started focusing on small events. That's why we brought our main events back, the ones I mentioned before. Now we are also thinking that, okay, maybe at one point some print publications will disappear. I think it's a future. But we are focusing on the events that are kind of like a bridge from Cyprus to expat communities, and we are also doing some small events between Cyprus and other countries. Like we did Cyprus Armenia Forum. We took a small delegation from Cyprus to Armenia to explore some relations, possibilities of cooperation, and it was actually a very successful event. So we are thinking to repeat it again next year. We are thinking to bring business community from other countries to Cyprus, and make some small events here. So this is in terms of developing Cyprus, like bilateral relations. When it comes to the Russian-speaking community, we will focus on more events for them to basically, rather than having these big events and conferences, which I think they're not really interesting anymore. To attend a conference and hear the presentation, or like long conferences are not popular anymore. Time's changing. So we are going to go to that direction to remain the bridge, but also to keep focused on giving more value to the community.
So fast forward from when you left Armenia as a young 21-year-old and came to study, what then happened? Did you obviously you managed to do very well in your career. Your parents, unfortunately, now are refugees. So that's, again, emotionally, psychologically very challenging, is to say the least. So how are they now? Did you manage to pay them back? Are they still? What's happening? Tell us a bit about your family.
Yes, my family, basically they are refugees. They live, thankfully though, their situation is better than, at least they have roof over their head, because there are a lot of people now that they can't find any job. They don't have place to stay. So it's difficult. But I managed to visit Armenia every year. I try to bring my parents for a holiday here once in a while. So in that sense, I think,
that respect,
about paying them back, I still I can't, because they're refugees. I didn't pay them back, obviously. They lost their house, but not because of me. However, it's like one of my main goals.
Paying them back in kind, my dear.
Yeah.
It's not,
I don't think you can ever pay back to your parents really for everything they did. It's
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So you're now a mummy. So you have one child, and congratulations, another one on the way. Not that if you're watching this on video, not that you would ever know. This skinny, beautiful lady in front of me is halfway through a pregnancy. So tell us, how are you finding it as a relatively new mummy, young child, another child on the way? How are you managing to balance it?
It's difficult. It's really difficult. I can't say it's easy, even with one child. I mean, because I think you always have this guilt. Like if you have, especially with my job, when sometimes you have to attend events which are finishing late, or
in the evening,
you don't really have a perfect schedule. But I'm trying. I'm really trying, and at least weekends. Actually, like recently, I decided I'm not going to work on weekends. I mean, I'm not even opening the emails on Sunday, because I realize that it's really, really important to spend time with your kid, especially now when my kid is like 3 years old. He's really copying you. He's this why period starts, why, and you have to explain everything why. And you have to pay attention, because when you're on your phone and you think you are there, you're not there. You have to be, as you always say, you have to be present. In the moment, right? Present. This is really, really important. So I try to spend some quality time with the kid, but also I think it's really, really important, the support of your partner. My husband is really, really supportive. I mean, I'm not worried if I know that I have to work late. I know he's with a husband and they have perfect time. I mean, it's really helpful.
It's true. That's really, a really good point. So what do you like most about Cyprus?
Everything. When I came here, I never felt as a foreigner from day one. Even with all these challenges, even with I don't know, sometimes there were times I knew that I have €2 a day to live. That's it. So you either have a breakfast or your dinner. You have to decide. But even though I was never angry, I was never I really loved Cyprus for everything. It's I don't know. I think the weather really helps, because when you wake up and it's sunny, you already have a hope that everything will be okay, all good. I like that there's choice in Cyprus. It's an amazing island. 1 minute you are at the sea, another half an hour you are in the mountains. It's incredible nature here. And I really like people, because mentality-wise, we are very close, like Armenians and Cypriots. So when I came, I really felt like home from day one. I always say that here is like Armenia without the sea, basically. There we don't have sea. Otherwise, really.
We've had a lot of actually Armenians on the podcast, and lots of people say that they really feel at home.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of similarities in the culture. Armenian people are also very warm and opening and family orientated. And so it's really inspiring to hear that, and it's lovely. And I think your journey really is inspirational and quite remarkable. And it's a big reminder to all of us to really appreciate everything, our food, our parents, our circumstances, our opportunities, and to grab them and to move forward. And I think thank you for sharing it. So do you have a favorite quote in all of this? I'm sure there's plenty.
I am actually collecting quotes. I have the whole notebook with that. Yeah. But the ones that I think I will mention two. One is my favorite, and I use it very often. It goes, never expect anything and you will never be disappointed. And I think if you live with that mantra, I mean, you will never get disappointed in people. You just don't expect anything.
Yeah.
And that came, I remember when Mom told me, don't expect anything from anybody. If somebody helps, perfect. It will be just,
it's an extra, it's a bonus. Yeah.
If nobody helps, then, it's okay. And another quote I want to mention, it's, I think it's something I came up with. A lot of people say, in order to move forward, you need to know that you cannot go back. You don't have a plan B. I don't quite agree, because for me, it was quite opposite. For me, in order to go forward, what gave me strength to go forward is knowing always that I have a really good back. I always can go back. If I fail here, my parents will accept me. There will be nothing. I can always go home. I never had this fear. The same thing that I said before, when there was an apartment issue, and I knew that if it doesn't work out, I have a friend. I can go there. But that was
always
having
options.
A plan B.
Yeah.
It actually gave me strength to go forward. So another quote goes in order to go forward, you need to know that you can go back.
Well, it's what they say, isn't it? When you raise children, you have to give them roots, but also wings to fly. And it's the roots that are important as well. So if you have that, then you're more accepting with the idea of flying and moving forward. Yeah, both are important. So we have bonus question. Pick anything you like from our crystal ball. And let's see. I'm so happy you're being asked this, because I know that you listen to the podcast a lot.
Yeah.
So this is from Mary, who's in the room at the moment. My assistant, who's doing all our marketing. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
If it's not Cyprus.
Yes, I think we'll assume that it's Cyprus, but
it would be definitely Cyprus. But if it's not Cyprus, I think it would be Barcelona.
Really?
Yes, I'm in love with that city. I know I like everything about it. I like the fact that even though it's big, but you don't feel this hustle.
Yeah.
Nobody's really like in big cities like London or Moscow. I like the style of the city, architecture, culture. I'm a big fan of Spanish language as well, so I think Barcelona. It would be definitely my second
that's
choice.
So nice.
So if I disappear from Cyprus,
we know where you are.
Know.
We'll come find you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Lusine, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing such a beautiful story. And you're still so young, and I'm sure you are going to do so much. Life will unfold so many wonderful surprises for you, and there's a bright future always for you, and full of health and happiness, most importantly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure to be here. And I wish you the best, because just keep doing what you're doing, basically, because you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear.
Very well.
Because of support from people like you guys that I can do it. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because it helps us more than you may realize. If you are planning on coming to visit us at St. Raphael Resort and Marina, feel free to email our reservations team quoting Hotel Talk and receive an exclusive offer just for you. We look forward to seeing you soon, hearing your feedback about our show, and producing many, many more interesting episodes just for you, our listener, and our valued guest in mind. Thank you so much, and take care.